The BRICS is the icing on the de-dollarization cake, if you look at it that way. But the loss of the petro standard, when every single country in the world has had to own dollars since 1974 in order to buy oil for 50 years, they've all had to stockpile dollars. And if Saudi Arabia and OPEC says, listen, you guys, you guys are going green. You signed an executive order. By 2030, you say you're going to be 50% green. By 2050, almost entirely green. So we respect that. Have a good life. We want you to. Thanks for the memories, but we are joining with the folks around the world that comprise the majority of human population that aren't. And as a result, we're not going to take dollars anymore. And when that happens like that, everything changes.
The US dollar is the world's reserve currency, which means that it is the most widely used currency in international trade and finance. This gives the US a lot of power because it can print as many dollars as it wants without causing inflation. The BRICS countries are trying to dethrone the US dollar, but it is unlikely to succeed. Andy Schectman, CEO of Miles Franklin, believes that the BRICS countries are joining other countries around the world that are not using the US dollar as their primary currency. This is a big change because the US dollar is the world's reserve currency. If Saudi Arabia and OPEC decide to embrace green energy and no longer accept dollars for oil, it will mark a significant change. In August 2023, South Africa will host the BRICS Heads of State Summit in Johannesburg. During this meeting, they are expected to officially approve the membership of some new countries into the group. Saudi Arabia is likely to join BRICS and the National Development Bank to strengthen trade and investment connections with emerging markets. They will continue to balance and diversify their international alliances, including strengthening ties with China and Russia. Andy believes that if BRICS countries stop using US dollar, especially Saudi Arabia, one of the world's major oil producers, would be protected by two of the largest nuclear powers, it could lead to a great reset of the global financial system. This could cause inflation and higher interest rates in the U.S. The new development bank is talking to Saudi Arabia to join the bank. Saudi Arabia's membership would strengthen its ties with BRICS countries and China. Before diving into Andy Schectman's interview, don't forget to show your support by giving this video a big thumbs up and subscribing to our channel.
To me, the biggest part of what's happening at this meeting in Johannesburg, if they walk away with the combination of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and the Eurasian Economic Union with the BRICS, it's getting really, really, really real, really fast. And when you realize that Saudi Arabia will, in essence, be protected by two of the three largest nuclear arsenals in the world and partnering with up to 85 to 90% of human population, along with all of the OPEC countries on the Belt Road, there will come a Sunday night, Monday morning, when they say we're no longer taking dollars. And when that happens, it will become a religious experience. That needs to be added into the BRICS story. That's what people are missing. To me, it is far more relevant than the entire BRICS cohesion. It is actually put together, makes the BRICS cohesion really formidable. If all oil sales globally by the largest oil cartel in the world start selling it in currencies other than the dollar, and the dollar is dumped, you'll understand what hyperinflation and spiked interest rates mean. It's the Great Reset. Stocks, bonds, and real estate are all inversely correlated to that moment. Well, what better way to incite that than to weaponize the dollar and to tell Saudi Arabia we're going green and we don't need you anymore? It's coming. And I think it's very evident if you open your eyes. And that to me is the whole premise of what I've been talking about here, because the pushback that you're seeing, and everyone who talks about BRICS is saying, well, you know, who trusts Russia and China? It's not going to happen. And if it does, it won't be that big of a deal immediately. It will make a dent, but it's a settlement currency. It's not a reserve currency. Well, what's the difference between settlement and reserve? Reserve means you have a bond market. So the bond market in the United States was formulated really during World War II. Buy war bonds, support the troops, the rallying cry, the patriotism. Well, what better way to issue a bond market? James Rickards said the same thing. Amongst the majority of human population on a commodity-backed currency pushing back against the Western hegemony, there's your patriotism. But the erosion of the settlements of dollars, all of these trades in dollar, in energy, in dollars, and in other things like the Brazil-China for corn deal. The second largest producer of corn in the world is selling everything to China in yuan. All of these things used to settle in dollars, which erodes the value of the dollar, which over time will erode the reserve status of the dollar. And when that happens, and all of these countries rather, are aligned in unison with a gold-backed currency, it'll be very easy for them to issue a bond market as our currency starts to lose demand and utility. And so it's coming, it'll be in stages. So I think to look at the BRICS as a settlement currency is fair. And it'll be a darn good settlement currency that the majority of the world will be using instead of the US dollar, which will go from a settlement reserve currency into a piece of history, maybe. And I think it won't happen immediately, but it will happen. And Saudi Arabia has a lot to do with it. But I've been saying for the past 3 years, they are ignoring the most important part of this entire coalition, and that is the Saudi kingdom and the moves that they have made. No one is talking about this. It's all I've talked about for 3 years. And when Saudi Arabia, which is the linchpin of the dollar hegemony, decided to join BRICS, it was a big deal. When they joined the Belt Road Initiative with all of the OPEC countries, it was a very big deal. When they decided to join the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, it became a massive deal. When they joined the BRICS New Development Bank, it became a huge deal. And when they told people at Davos they're open to taking other currencies for oil, it became an enormous deal. The point is simply this: when Saudi Arabia flips the switch, and by extension, OPEC decides to move with Saudi Arabia away from accepting the dollar in accordance with their relationship with the majority of human population who isn't going green, and add that to the BRICS, it becomes a huge, huge deal. One without the other is only telling half the story. And I think that's what people need to understand. I've been consistent on that.
There have been 4 global recessions since World War II, 1975, 1982, 1991, and 2008 and 2009. The most recent recession was caused by the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 and 2021. During a recession, gold usually sees its price rise, but silver may behave differently. Silver has many industrial uses, like in electronics, and during an economic downturn, industrial demand for silver can decrease, causing its price to drop. However, silver can also experience an increase in demand for investment purposes during recessions. Andy believes that when there will be a financial crisis or a bank failure, people will rush to buy precious metals, causing prices to surge. In financial markets, some experts and traders try to manipulate prices to their advantage. This can cause temporary distortions in asset prices, including the price of gold. Andy highlighted that the gold prices are being suppressed by Western world. However, this suppression will not last forever. Let's watch Andy Schectman's interview with Liberty and Finance.
You'll see premiums on precious metals rise dramatically when the public wakes up. And maybe that comes when the next regional bank fails and Janet Yellen bails them in instead of out, as the law dictates. And then you'll see what anxiety and fear really is manifested in the public waking up to buy metals, and what that will do to a market that is flush right now, and premiums are low and falling, and availability is great. That'll change in the blink of an eye, and it always has. But I don't believe that you will see price suppression last forever. I only manipulate or push a market in the direction. You can only suppress a market long enough if you're pushing back against a global tide of demand, you can't do it. You can only suppress or manipulate a market by pushing it in the direction that it is going. And for a very long time, people just wanted dollars. No one wanted gold, but the world is accumulating gold and silver. The central banks bought more over the last 18 months than ever before. You're seeing the same thing with silver. India buying 304 million ounces. The exchanges are being bled dry by the biggest money in the world, and they are using this suppression to run cover for their de-dollarization. And the West, who suppresses the price of gold to support the bond market, to support the theory of a strong dollar, and everything is okay. The one thing they didn't take into account was that the East would be standing with their arms and hands open wide, ready to take delivery at any cost. And that is what is changing the game, to the point where the exchanges are being bled down so much that this game has to end. It has to end very soon, because there's not enough ammunition to continue to short a market naked where if you're called for delivery, the whole thing blows up. So no, it won't go on forever. Not in a market where the biggest, most sophisticated and well-funded money in the world is taking possession and pulling it off the exchanges. This is very close, I would think, to that moment where we wake up and prices go so much higher we can't believe it.
With the Brics introducing a new gold-backed currency and accumulating gold in their central banks, which is causing de-dollarization, what do you think will happen to gold prices in the near term? That's all from us. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Click the bell icon to be notified when we release new videos. Currently, 96% of our viewers have not subscribed to our channel. Our goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible, and we cannot achieve this without your support. Please consider subscribing to our channel and helping us reach our target. Your support means a lot to us.